Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're thrilled to have you join us for a session titled Improve Your MSP's Marketing Without Adding to Your Personal Work. As many of you know, wearing multiple hats is a common reality for MSP owners. You're the tech whiz, the sales guru, and often the marketing manager all rolled into one. But let's face it, there just aren't enough hours in the day to do it all effectively. That's why we've brought together two amazing experts today to share their insights on how you can streamline your marketing efforts and achieve results without sacrificing your sanity. First up, we have Paul Green, widely recognized as the world's go-to MSP marketing expert. Paul is the founder of MSP Marketing Edge, an educational platform dedicated to making marketing easy for MSP owners. From books and courses to podcasts and magazines, Paul offers a wealth of resources to help you navigate the marketing landscape. He spent over 13 years as a journalist and radio presenter before dedicating his expertise to empowering business owners for the past 5 years. You can learn more about Paul and his resources at mspmarketingedge.com. Paul, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a delight.
It's ours. Thank you so much. Sorry, we have some people in the waiting room. I'm going to admit them. And joining Paul today, we have Randy Rosales for us, the CEO and founder of Freelance Latin America. Randy has spent the past 7 years helping over 80 businesses in the USA and Canada build high-performing remote teams. Freelance Latin America connects you with bilingual, college-educated professionals across Latin America, allowing you to focus on your core business while achieving your growth goals. To learn more about Randy and his expertise, head over to freelancelatam.com. Randy, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me here, Paul. Such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
No, it's a pleasure to be on. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's drop some value bombs. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I have prepared a couple questions for you guys. Let's start with questions about marketing challenges and strategies for MSPs. So this one is for Paul. Paul, why is marketing such a pain point for so many MSPs, and what do you think are the most common mistakes they make?
That's a really good question. And I think most MSPs struggle with marketing. It's a fairly common thing. And it's kind of easy on the surface level to look at that and say, well, that's because these are mostly technical people who then become business owners. And, you start your own business because you want to have some level of control over the work that you do and who you do it for and how much you charge and control over what you do with your time and money and all of that kind of stuff. And that's great at the start. But then, when you start your business and you've got a certain amount of energy that kind of goes out there into the world, into the universe, and you start to attract clients and you get referrals. And most MSPs find that their first 2 or 3 clients just come to them just from the sheer energy they put in. But then they get to the point where the referrals dry up. And most MSPs at this point go, what do I do? Where am I going to get these new clients from? And that's when they then start to think about marketing and they realize that marketing is really hard. What really hurts MSPs is that actually marketing managed services is one of the most difficult things on the planet to market, right? So if let's say, for example, you sold office chairs, right? Something boring like office chairs, and there are thousands of different office chairs you can sell. Marketing office chairs is really easy because it's a one-off purchase. It's something where you can compete on price or better service. So you could say, look, we're not the most cheapest, but we'll bring it to your office. We'll set it up. We'll take the box away. We'll guarantee it for 10 years. We'll do all sorts of things. There's lots of ways that you can compete. And of course, the demand for office chairs, say, is ongoing. There's always someone somewhere who needs some more office chairs or is selling their chairs or whatsoever. So something like that is relatively easy to market. It's easy to tap into the demand. It's easy to find prospective buyers. And there's a lot of competition, sure, but it's kind of easy to do that. Managed services is the complete other end of the scale, where you've got a whole bunch of people who often they're only buying it out of distress. So a lot of ordinary business owners and managers, the kind of people we want to reach, They're not sitting there at night thinking, oh, I wonder if I could get another managed service provider. Wouldn't it be great to have even more IT support people? They're not sitting there doing that. It's a distressed purchase for them, or certainly it is until we educate them about the benefits of having an MSP. And you're also held back by a whole series of problems. I'm going to give you 4 big problems that hold back most MSPs in their marketing. And this is not about the MSPs. These are external problems. The first big problem is often that the people you're trying to reach, they don't know what they don't know. So they are not technical people. They're lawyers, CPAs, they're manufacturers, they're veterinarians, whatever it is they do. They're really good at that. And they think they understand technology because they've got a phone and an iPad, right? But they don't really understand technology at a deep level. So because they don't know what they don't know, this leads us on to problem number 2, which is that they are not making the decisions about which MSP to buy with their brains. They're delegating the decisions down to their heart. Now, most of us think we make most buying decisions with our brains, but we really don't. We can only make a buying decision with our brain when we understand something. So for the MSPs who are on this call, if you were, for example, let's say you're looking at vendor A or vendor B. Let's say you were switching PSA, because I know MSPs like doing that. So you've got vendor number 1, vendor A has this PSA, vendor B has this PSA. You can make a brain decision about which of those to pick from because you're an educated purchaser. You understand what PSAs are, you understand what they do, what they don't do, you understand the right questions to ask. That is not the situation with most business owners and managers. They, remember, don't know what they don't know. So they look at MSP number 1, MSP number 2, MSP number 3. They all look the same. All the websites look the same. All the sales meetings seem the same. So the brain says, there are no facts. I haven't got any facts here to make a decision on, passes it down to the heart. The heart, or the emotions, make buying decisions based on someone's emotional reaction to you. So they are picking your MSP or not picking your MSP based on whether or not they like you. And this is really difficult for MSPs to understand, that actually with our marketing, we've got to be really, really emotional. Big problem number 3 is inertia loyalty rules. So inertia loyalty is what keeps you with your CPA for years and years, even when you'd rather move somewhere else. I've had the same bank account for 36 years, personally, just through inertia loyalty. It just seems easier to stay there than it is to move over. And with managed services, this is the biggest thing, because people will stay with an MSP that they don't like, that they're not happy with. They'll sign another contract with them because that seems safer than switching over to someone that they don't really know. So if you look just from the things I've said there, is we've got to get them to like us. We've got to get them to trust us. They've got to believe that you can really do what you say you'll do before they'll even think of switching. And then finally, big problem number 4 is that people only buy when they're ready to buy. And, I was talking about office chairs. You can jump that purchase forward. You can do deals, you can do discounts, you can do offers. You can't do any of that with managed services. It is almost impossible. In fact, you don't want the clients that would pick you tomorrow because you're doing a price promotion. Price promotions are the wrong thing to do for MSPs. You've got to focus just on what is the exact moment that someone is ready to buy. Some people are ready to buy tomorrow, some next week, some next month, some in 2027. But what we've got to do is we've got to try and be in front of those people and build a relationship with them and build up some trust with them. So on the morning they wake up and they're kind of ready to have a discussion about switching MSPs, it's you that's in front of them. So very long answer there, and I apologize for that. But as you can see, there's just so many problems. And this is why most MSPs really struggle with their marketing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And often it's because the owner or founder knows about technical work, but doesn't know about marketing or sales, as you mentioned. Now, once that they have figured out a way to market their services, how do they do to differentiate from other competitors? Because most MSPs use the same blue and white colors. Most of them use the same kind of content. So how would you advise MSP owners to make themselves unique, to make themselves different from other competitors in the market?
Yeah, that's a great follow-up question. And there are lots of ways you can differentiate. Let me give you the 2 easy ones. So number 1 is you differentiate through having a vertical or a niche. So most MSPs Exactly, you're right, Randy. There, all the websites look the same. They've got the same stock images. They've got the same messages. It's because everyone's copying everyone else, and so it's like we've got there are 40,000 MSPs in the world. There's 39,000 of
the
those
same
websites.
advisors, right?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So one of the two ways I recommend is, as I say, is to go down vertical route. So let's say you're in a town, you're in a city, and you've got a mixture of clients, but you've got CPAs, accountants, and you think, actually, I like CPAs, I like the work, I like the people. Technology is at the heart of their business. They need it. I want more of them. So don't just have a CPAs page on your website. Build a whole new website that's just CPAs, that says to them, we work with accountants in city. When you're trying to grow your accountancy practice, you need a technology company that understands your problems. And then you use their language. Like I just said the word practice there. So lawyers and accountants typically talk about having a practice. So do veterinarians and dentists. They have a practice, not a business. I used to work a long time ago. I had a business that worked with veterinarians and dentists and opticians. I sold that in 2016, which is when I started working with MSPs. And we had 3 separate websites, one for the dentists, one for the veterinarians, and one for the opticians, the optometrists. And it was amazing. And we just had slightly different language on each one, but each sector thought that we only worked with their sector, whereas actually our company worked with lots of different sectors. So picking a vertical and you can have 3 or 4 different websites, and that makes you stand out massively, because there won't be many MSPs in your city that are just working with accountants or just working with veterinarians or just working with whatsoever. So it's a bit of extra work, but that's worth it. So that's the first way. That's the difficult way. The easy way to differentiate, Randy, is you base your marketing around you. So if you go and look on my website, you'll see my face on there. You'll see my name in the logo. You'll see me all over the website. I'm not a narcissist in any way. I do have a team. It's not just me. I've got a team of I think there's 13 of us now. But I made a decision right at the beginning that I was going to base all of my marketing around me. So I'm the front person of the business. I do the webinars, I do the videos. Other people do all the hard work in the background. It's a great life. And the advantage of this is that I have lots of competitors who do a similar service to ours, but no one can be me. Right? There is only me. And when I'm gone, I'm gone. There's no one else like that. So that's something that MSPs can do really easily. You can do it if you're a one-person band. You can do it if you're a $20 million a year MSP. You pick the person who's not going anywhere. So typically the owner of the business, and you build the marketing around them. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you make it all about you, but you use your story. So on your About Us page, you talk about how you fell in love with computers age 7 and your first computer was a TRS-80 and from Radio Shack. And then you got into computers and you started a help desk and you did this. And then you launched your own company and you bound out of bed every morning and you're so excited to help local business owners with their technology. And there's a photo of you and a photo of you and your life partner and your kids, and maybe a photo of you at the local baseball stadium. And there's a photo of you with the local mountain range. And there's a photo of you with some clients, and there's a photo of you and your team. And all of this is, do you remember I said earlier that one of the biggest problems is they're not making decisions with their brain, buying decisions. They're making buying decisions with their heart. Show me photos of you. Tell me your story. Show me that you're a parent. Show me you're a business owner. Show me you're involved in the local community. Show me you go to baseball games. Show me you help with the local scout troop. All of that stuff. I'm going to pick you because of that. I'm going to assume that you're good at technology because you're running an MSP. But what's going to make me pick you is the differentiation. The downside of the differentiation is yeah, thank you. The downside of using the differentiation route is when you sell the business, it makes the business perceptually less valuable to the acquirer. And that is something you have to have in mind, because we all want to sell our business eventually one day. But for most MSPs, that's years away in the future. So yeah, differentiation is the easy route to go.
Yeah, and about what you said, you can also apply both the strategies, like that you can brand yourself and your company, and you can also niche it down and make content for different websites and different social media about you and your business knowledge of each industry, like the healthcare industry or the accounting industry or the law industry, and just use those languages, those words that speak directly to your customers in those areas. And you do videos and posts when you as an MSP owner are talking to your industry expertise about technology issues in that specific industry. So I also see a way how you can combine both. Great insights.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we are all learning a lot just hearing you two talk. But we also have another question for you, Paul. Can you break down your three-step system for MSP marketing and explain how MSPs can implement it quickly?
Yes, absolutely, I can. So grab a pad, grab a pen, because I'm about to give you 6 words that could change your life forever. And that's a big claim. But this 3-step strategy, which is made up of just 6 words. Did I say sex words? I think I did. I have to apologize. It's not sex words, it's 6 words. I've never made that mistake before. I'm going to get red now. You watch. I'm going to give you 6 words, which is so simple for me to communicate this marketing strategy to you. But it is the world's most powerful marketing strategy. I use this for my own marketing. I know you guys, without realizing it, because I've been looking at your marketing, and you guys actually use it in your marketing, which is great. I've seen just from how I've been looking at your site and some of your marketing, and I have recommended this to thousands of MSPs around the world. It sits at the core of my MSP Marketing Edge system as well. So I've gone all in on this strategy. I've literally built a career around it. Let me give you those 6 words. They ask this. First step is build audiences. I'll come back in a second and explain what that means. Second step is grow relationships. And the third step is convert relationships. So build audiences, grow relationships, convert relationships. Those are the 6 words. Now, what do they mean? Well, that first step, build audiences, is exactly as it sounds. With your marketing, you go and build audiences of people to listen to you. So there are 20 or 30 different audiences you could build. For most MSPs, the first place to start is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the best platform for MSPs, full stop. There is no better platform. It's amazing, LinkedIn. Go and build an audience on LinkedIn. Go and add new connections every single day. Start a LinkedIn newsletter, which allows you to build a second audience within LinkedIn. And then the other audience MSP should build is your email database. And in fact, there is a way to take your LinkedIn connections and add those people into your email as well. You just go and find their email address and add them in, and then you send them a message kind of saying, hey, I hope you don't mind, I've added you to my email database. If you don't want it, please unsubscribe. So I would, as an MSP, and I advise all MSPs to do this, focus on building LinkedIn, focus on building your email. Those are the 2 most important audiences. Then the second step is to grow relationships. You remember I said earlier that people only buy when they're ready to buy, and that could be years ahead. So let's influence them between now and then. And this is all about putting content in front of people. So you should post a piece of piece of content that we call edutainment. So it's educational and entertaining. Post a piece of edutainment content every weekday on LinkedIn. You don't need to do weekends, but every weekday. And that should be a mix of personal content. So personal content always works best on LinkedIn, and not what you're having for dinner. No one cares about that. But it could be a short video of you in the car talking about, oh, I've got a client who's been breached. We're going to go in and rescue them. It could be you climbing a mountain. It could be you celebrating a big family achievement. Family things work really well, but you can't just do that. You also need to do stuff about technology. But the people you're trying to reach don't care about technology as much. They care about what the technology can do for them. So share with them productivity advice, share with them like Windows 11. There's so much information about Windows 11, about Copilot. The Microsoft has, in the 9 years I've been in the channel, I've never known a time when Microsoft is releasing so much new content and new product. There's so much coming out. And of course, that's just Microsoft. ChatGPT was down for 2 hours today, pretty much across the world. That's a piece of content, right? So if you need something to write about today, write about ChatGPT being down, because that's actually quite rare for a company with 300 million customers to go down for 2 hours. What was that about? It takes 10 minutes to research that and do that. So edutainment content, post on LinkedIn every day. And then on your email database, send them an email once a week. And that email, there's no selling in any of this. Do not sell. Do not talk about what you do, what your service is. No one cares until the morning they wake up and they're interested in talking to you. So educate them and entertain them every day on LinkedIn and once a week on email. So that's the second step. And then the third step is convert relationships. And that's about taking these leads. So all of these people in your LinkedIn, your email, those are your leads. You want thousands of those. And then some of them are going to become prospects. Prospects are the people you're having a one-on-one conversation with. The best way to do that is phone those people. So not you, because you won't do this, because I wouldn't do it. And I don't think I've ever met a single MSP who would do it. But find someone like a back-to-work mum who can pick up the phone and just call your connections. They're not sales calls. They don't need to know about technology. They don't need to know much about your MSP. They're literally, it's just someone warm and friendly who can pick up the phone and can just call people. Call your LinkedIn connections and call your email connections. And they're calling to talk about that person's favorite subject. Randy, let me ask you a question. It's a pop quiz now. What's everyone's favorite subject?
Do you mean in the MSP industry?
No. If I'm calling ordinary business owners and managers, and I'm going to ask them about their favorite subject, what's every business owner's favorite subject?
To talk about themselves and their businesses.
Bingo. That just proves we didn't rehearse this. It's exactly right. So everyone loves talking about their business. They love talking about themselves. So your back-to-work mum who's making these calls, they are phoning people and they're asking them about their business. They're asking them how things are going, what they're working on right now, what makes them special and unique. You get someone opening up about their business, and then there's a very specific question you can ask them, which will tell you how in love they are with their current MSP. I should have asked you this before. Can I have your permission to plug my book, which has just been published this week? Because that has got the answer to that. Would that be all right with you guys?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Go for it. That's education, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So this is on sale on Amazon. It's called MSP Marketing Start Here. So if you just go into Amazon and search for MSP Marketing Start Here, it's literally like an hour's read. It's deliberately a short, quick read. This was published 2 days ago. It's on every Amazon in the world. It explains that 3-step system I've just been talking about, and has got a lot of those details that I've just skipped over there. So things like, I said you send an email to people. When you take the LinkedIn connection and you add them to your email database, you send them an email and you explain what you've done. That email's in the book. When your back-to-work mum calls people and she asks a specific question, that's in the book. I'm happy to give it to you now if you want, but obviously there's a lot of detail there and we can get lost in detail. So yeah, MSP Marketing Start Here. Thank you very much. I should have checked with you guys before I gave myself a big plug there, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Nice templates and actionable content. Many of our customers are in the MSP industry, and I've seen their LinkedIn posts are related to servers being down or cybersecurity hacks. They address their customers' pain points. Like what will happen if you don't have an MSP supporting you? What will happen if you get a ransom? What will happen if your servers get hacked? What will happen if your servers go down? And another customer, an MSP owner as well, he told me that he uses this tool Taplio, Taplio, to grow his brand presence on LinkedIn. It basically gives you a lot of LinkedIn short posts that you can program and schedule them to be posted automatically. Have you heard about it? Have you used it? What are your insights on it?
Yeah, so I've heard of it. I've never used it. I've perhaps been on the website. I have no issue with those kind of tools. I think they're great if they help you to get stuff out there. I think the one caveat I have with any AI tool is increasingly it's getting easier and easier for us humans to spot what is becoming known as AI slop. And I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this, that, if you go on to, apparently it's something like 10 or 15% of LinkedIn accounts are AI now. Then there's no human there. It's just AI slop. So, and I think, and what's really cool is we're right on day one of AI, but even on day one, us humans are learning to spot non-authentic content. So to me, it's like when I made that mistake earlier, when I said something I wasn't meant to say, that's a real authentic thing, right? It's like 7 o'clock at night here in the UK. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I made a mistake. That's authentic. I'm human, right? That proves that I'm not some kind of AI bot. And I think that's right. Exactly that. So writing, if you get AI to, I always look at it as the what's the formula? 10-80-10, right? So it should be 10% of you at the beginning with AI content creation, of any AI content creation, 10% of you at the beginning, that's putting together a really good prompt. And we all must know by now that the better the prompt you put into ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever you use, the better the prompt, the better what you get out. Let ChatGPT or whoever do the bulk of the work, the 80% of the work, but you must do some work on it at the end, right? And you must take the content, you must make it. ChatGPT in particular has this habit of putting in big words that people don't actually use. So take those words out, yeah? Make it simpler, make it real. Put flaws in it, put a spelling mistake in it, even something like that. That just makes it real. So yeah, I love it. Any tool that helps an MSP do more marketing, great, but you've got to make sure it's authentic.
Yeah, because the idea is that they don't add to their own workload, that they can use these tools as the Pareto principle, just to do the heavy lifting through the tool, and then you just tweak and add the final touches with your personal insights. And this is also why these social media platforms such as LinkedIn, YouTube are promoting, the algorithm is promoting video content. So, I mean, they know it's you, they know it's human, they know it's someone doing it. Now, regarding your second step about growing relationships, and what would you think about like other ways to grow those relationships? Like, for example, would you advise MSP owners to go to conventions or events on the industries they are targeting or trying to niche down? Like, for example, go to a lawyers convention or an accounting convention or a CFO convention and try to learn what the speakers have to say about new trends in their industry and how to relate with those potential buyers. Would you advise to do that, or would you advise a more digital approach to grow those relationships?
Yeah, I definitely advise that with a caveat of you should only attempt to do stuff if you've really got the capacity and the time to do it properly. So, if you're going to go to, you talked about events, there's networking meetings. If you're targeting specific verticals, there's always industry events and trade shows and stuff. There's no point going for an hour when you're spending that hour, you're on your phone and you're getting support requests and your team are ringing you and you haven't really got time for it and you're not in the mood. There's just no point. If you're going to go for it, go when you can switch your phone off and work your way around the show and talk to people and actually get real connections and build things. I think a lot of MSPs come up with too many ideas. And there's so much information and ideas out there, but they'll throw themselves into 10 different things and do 10 things really badly. Yeah. And you said about digital versus real stuff. I think the real stuff's better. The reality is that's too much, right? It's too difficult to go networking every week for most MSPs. It's too difficult to go to all those trade shows. There's a lot of this digital stuff we've been talking about here, right up to picking up the phone, which is not digital, that's real life, that it's easier to do in small bits. And most of the MSPs I work with are, no more than 5 or 6 staff. They don't have a lot of resources. And I say to them, look, if you can find an hour a day to do marketing, that's all you need. An hour a day and do 2 or 3 things really well. Build up your LinkedIn really well, build up your email list really well, put really good content out there, phone everyone at least twice a year, just phone them. Even if they say never call me back, just phone them, right? And if you just did those things really well, you'd have an insanely good marketing system. In fact, your marketing system would be better than most of your competitors, because that's the really cool thing, Randy. We were saying earlier that most MSPs' websites look the same and their websites look the same. If you take a marketplace with, let's say, 40 MSPs, 38 of them are doing no marketing. And by no marketing, I mean no consistent marketing. I believe very much in marketing systems where you set it up so you have a series of tasks that happen every day or every week. And 38 out of 40 MSPs will be doing no marketing. So for every single person on this call, if your MSP is the one that starts doing regular marketing and you keep at it, you don't stop after 2 or 3 weeks, you don't do one campaign and stop, but you set up a system like using that 3-step system I was just talking about, you will beat your competitors. It might take 10 years, but you will have the greatest market share because you will just simply generate more leads. You will be in front of more people at the exact moment that they're looking to buy from you. And, most MSPs that I meet don't want more than 1 new client a month or 1 new client every other month, because that would be too much. But imagine if you could onboard 1 new client a month, right? That would change your business. That would change your cash flow. It would change your life. You can buy that slightly better house that you want, or that slightly better car. You can go on better vacations. And most MSPs
Yeah.
don't want a $20 million business. They just want one new client a month or one new client every other month. And I think once you can get the marketing right and deliver that, it can be life-changing. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the importance also about focus. I read your recent LinkedIn post about marketing strategies that MSPs can implement. But the most important thing here is just to take action, like stop reading through all the strategies and all the techniques. Just pick one, pick two, pick three, and take action. Focus on those, because that's the power of focus. That put your big rocks first and create a system around it. So it's consistent, it's perseverant, and then you can just delegate that to someone you hire and then focus on the more higher level stuff. Awesome. Now, about the third step of converting relationships, any particular CRM that would you advise to MSP owners?
Yeah, you're asking all the best questions here. So my advice with CRM is actually very similar to my advice about which marketing activities should you do, which is MSPs think big, but then you need to kind of draw your thinking in a bit. And by that, I mean, a surprising number of people jump straight to HubSpot, right? So HubSpot is one of the best CRMs on the market, but it's so expensive. They want your kidneys in month 1, they want your liver in month 2, and then they want your firstborn in month 3. And I say this as someone, we're migrating to HubSpot, and it's costing me in US equivalent of nearly $20,000 a year. But the reason that's worth it for me is because I have a sophisticated marketing operation. We run all of our MSP Marketing Edge portal automation through our current CRM, and we've got to replace all of that. It is expensive, but it's very good. But having HubSpot, for example, is like buying a Ferrari just to drive to the grocery store and back. There's no point doing it because you could buy a $2,000 car to do that. So for most MSPs, you either go and get yourself a very, very cheap or free CRM. So for example, there's something called Growably, which is free, which is within the Tech Tribe. And as long as you're a Tech Tribe member, you get Growably for free. There's, I think it's Zoho CRM is almost free, is virtually nothing. MailChimp is free for up to, I think it's 2,000 contacts. Most MSPs get nowhere near 2,000 contacts. MailerLite, Lite, is relatively low cost or free. All of those I've just talked about are great CRMs, right? But they're basic. Well, Growably isn't. Growably is actually a copy of HubSpot. That's a very complex and very capable CRM. But Zoho CRM, MailChimp, and MailerLite, they're good, solid. They're good, solid CRMs that will do what most of MSPs need. MSPs often think they're going to do much more exciting things than they actually do. If you're actually going to do a lot of automation and you're going to do complex campaigns and what are called multi-touch point campaigns, where you're touching people in lots of different ways, then you would look at ActiveCampaign. You might look at HubSpot. There's something called GlassHive, which used to be an MSP specific CRM, but it's got a little bit bigger. And there's about 1 million other CRMs out there. So you can Google those things and Google alternatives to them. The one I will recommend you not to go near is Keap, Keap, which used to be called Infusionsoft. That's actually what I use right now. They sold the company to a platform called Thrive about 6 months ago, but they sold it for it was like $80 million, which sounds a lot until you consider that they've had hundreds of millions of dollars of funding pushed into Keap over the last few years. So myself and a couple of other people I know, we've interpreted that as a fire sale. And Thrive haven't announced their plans for Keap, which after 6 months is suspicious, right? So, they should by now have said, if they were going to keep it going as a business, they'd say, hey, we've got big plans, we're going to do this. Instead, they'd just be very quiet. So the assumption is there, and it is an assumption, it's a guess, that they're going to asset strip Keap. They're going to take Keap's technology, which is superior to Thrive's. They're going to build that into Thrive and maybe get rid of Keap. So that's why I'm migrating to HubSpot. And as of today, I am warning MSPs not to sign up with Keap. I could be wrong. I'd love to be proven to be wrong, but I just need to put that warning out there. What CRM do you guys use?
Nice breakdown. We use a Spanish one. It's called Clientify, and it has worked well for our needs. And like you said, worse than having a Ferrari just to go to the grocery store and come back is just have a park and not use it at all, not even turn it on. And the idea of having a CRM is just to use it. Like if you have it there, use it in the best capacity you can. But do something with it to manage your clients' relationships. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for those insights on those 3 steps.
Well, we have another question for Paul. Thank you, Randy and Paul, for all the valuable insight that you've shared. Paul, we wanted to know, how can MSPs ensure their marketing efforts align with their long-term business goals?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I was saying earlier that if you could onboard one new client a month, it changes your life. So I think when you're thinking about marketing, you have to kind of go back a few steps. But let me tell you, okay, let's tell you about, let me go back a step. Every September, I sit down and I go through a formal exercise where I look at what my vision for my life is, right? So when you're talking about your vision for your life, I mean, what kind of life do you want to live? So let me tell you a little bit about me. I live in the UK. I'm 50 now, which you wouldn't think looking at all my grey hair, but I'm a sole parent. I have a 14-year-old called Sam, who's my child, who's awesome. And I've been a sole parent for a number of years. So my life is, and my business and my work is based around her. So as I said, like, it's 7 o'clock in the UK right now, but she's upstairs doing homework and God knows what she's doing. And so I wouldn't have done this if this was in family time. That's a number one rule for me. But in the evenings, those of you who are teenagers know that they just disappear to their rooms. They go on Instagram and TikTok. If TikTok hasn't been banned and they're doing all their stuff. But in a few years' time, she's going to go to college, right? And I'm going to be. I won't have the responsibility every day of looking after a teenager. So I want to travel, right? I want to go. I want to spend more time in the US. I want to go back to Spain. I want to go to Italy. I want to drive in Rome, because I can't think of a more terrifying way to end my life than driving in Rome. And anyone who's ever been to Rome will know that's the worst city on the planet you could ever drive in. So there's all these cool things that I want to do. And at the same time, I want to keep growing my business. So that vision for my life directly leads then into the goals that I set myself. So every September, I set myself goals for next year. And I'm going to look just over to my right. I have a whiteboard with my secret goals all written up there. They're things I want to achieve with my business this year. And all of those things fit into the vision for my life. So if the vision for your life is to do more travel, or to go hang gliding, or to buy a dog and go on 2-hour walks every day, then you can't have a goal which locks you into your MSP's office every day, for example. So I don't have an office. We're a virtual business, which is deliberate. And I know you guys operate in exactly the same way, that you're a virtual business. You could be anywhere in the world, and that's a great thing. So you need to know your vision before you can determine your goals. Once you're clear on the vision and the goals, then you come into what's the right marketing strategy, and the strategy can be that 3-step system. What are the right tactics? So tactics are things that you do, like let's build connections on LinkedIn. So if the strategy is build audiences, then the tactics would be grow LinkedIn, build LinkedIn connections every single day, take those LinkedIn connections and add them into your CRM. That's the difference between strategy and tactics. So I think as an MSP, before you even start thinking about what marketing should I do, you've got to be really clear on what kind of life do I want to live? What do I want to do with my time? Who do I want to do it with? What kind of house do I want to live in? What kind of car do I want to drive? What kind of vacations do I want to take? Can I give you a really sobering one? And this is kind of scary, but it's worth all of us doing this. And I'll apologize for taking the mood down, and then Randy's going to bring it back up because I know he's good at that. If you only had 5 years left to live, right? If the doctor rang you and said, "Hi, just got your test results back. There's good news and bad news. The good news is you're going to live for 5 years. The bad news is you're only going to live for 5 years. Like literally 5 years today, you just won't wake up, right? You've got some weird disease. So what would you do differently in the next 5 years?" And that's not a real situation. Most of us don't have that. And you're not ill, by the way. You're perfectly normal. You won't have a day's illness in those 5 years. But it kind of forces you to say, what do I want to do? And maybe you say, do you know what? I've always thought I'd like to go hang gliding or parascending. I'm going to go and do that. Or I've always wanted to build model railroads. I'm going to go and do that. Or I love my wife. I want to spend more time with my wife. Or I want to have an affair, or whatever it is that you want to throw in there. Mm-hmm. And that 5-year deadline kind of forces you into being very focused on what you want to do with your life. So I always have that in mind of what if I've only got 5 years left? Because I might have 5 minutes left, right? An asteroid could come into my house right now, or I might have another 50 years left. It's unlikely, but there we go. So I think you've got to operate with some kind of urgency of what's the vision for your life, and how do you make your MSP deliver that? Far too many MSP owners, they set up the business and then they create a prison of their own design and they lock themselves inside. And anytime, so this to the MSPs, if you've ever been on any vacation and you've taken your laptop because you know you're going to have to support some clients on your vacation, then please punch yourself in the face, because you are locked in a prison of your own design. Vacations are for vacationing, right? Vacations are for having fun with the people that matter in your life. And clients are important, but they're not as important as your partner and your children and your dog. So that's what I mean by that. So you have to design the business to give you the lifestyle you want. That takes years. That's not an overnight thing, but it's something important we need to do. Go on, Randy, bring us back up after I've talked about only having 5 years of life left.
Yeah. It reminds me to your conference in ScaleCon about the 5 regrets of the dying, and any person who is about to die in their deathbed wish they would have worked more. So the most top 5 regrets is, I wish I would have spent more time with my loved ones. I wish I would have dared to do this thing, and not anyone wishes they had worked more. So it's important to have that in mind. And I also have many of our customers who are running on EOS, this entrepreneurial operating system, and the EOS asks you to visualize what is your 10-year target. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And what is your 3-year picture? How do you want your company to look like 3 years from now? How many employees? What is the revenue size? How many locations you would like to open? And that will be also a good technique to basically picture where you want to go and build your marketing strategy around that. Now, about what you said of taking the laptops to vacation or taking the laptops to Vegas ScaleCon, which I saw many of the attendees, going off the conference room to take a call or to write an email. And sometimes it's hard to avoid that if you are a one-man shop or one-person shop. So it always reminds me to this Canadian YouTuber, Dan Martel, when he says, you need to learn the buyback rate and how you can buy back your time. And basically add all your year income divided between 2,000 hours to get your, you got it there. Awesome. So you know the rate.
Yeah.
You know the
right,
rate.
Right.
So everything that sits below 25% of your hourly rate, you should delegate it to someone else. Because if you are doing it, you're costing your own company more money than if you just hire someone else to do it for you, to do those cold calls for you, to do those email marketing campaigns and set them up in a system for you, to check in on the CRM for you and really turn that Toyota or that car that you bought in the CRM analogy and really use it for you if you don't have the time or you just don't want to do it yourself, because that's not the life that you're picturing for yourself. So what advice would you give to MSP owners who have smaller teams, maybe 1, 2, 3 people team, to being able to do that and go on vacations and do networking and go to a ScaleCon 2025 without taking their laptops, without taking their jobs with them, and work on the business and not in the business all the time?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and actually that book, Get It, it's on Audible. I know a lot of MSPs don't like physically reading, but Audible is a great way to consume. There's so many good books, and they're all sat there on Audible, and they can be read to you while you're driving. I read more on Audible now than I do in real life. Exercising, walking the dog, driving, and it's like listen to podcasts and listen to books. Yeah, I think every I deal with lots of I'll call them one-man bands, one-person bands. They are typically men, one-man band MSPs. There's nothing wrong with one-man bands, but it's not a business. If it's just you, and I know a lot of one-man bands, they pair up, they team up with other one-man bands. So it's like if you're on vacation, the other one-man band looks after all of the clients, and that can work. But obviously, you've still got that thing at the back of your head that a person I don't really know that well is looking after my clients, right? And we all care about what happens to our clients. I think being a one-person band, or even having one or two staff, which actually one or two staff is worse than just being on your own, because you've got a greater burden of cash and you've got a greater burden of time. I think every business owner owes it to themselves and to their family to get to a point where the business is self-sustaining. I've run two businesses. So I started my first business in 2005. My 20-year anniversary is coming up in February. I sold that in 2016. The first 8 years running that, I was trapped, right? I was in that prison. I didn't take proper vacations. We didn't have a lot of money. And I got very lucky. I got a very, very good mentor who's now my best friend. And he's gone on. He's just has tens of millions of dollars worth of companies now. But he taught me how to be a proper business owner and how to create a business that could thrive without me, not just survive but thrive. And for a couple of years, that was just me and 3 or 4 other people. But it was the right kind of people. So it wasn't an MSP, but if it was an MSP, it would make sure I'd have the service desk manager. Probably would be my first employee. Now I wouldn't call them the service desk manager, and it might only just be a level 2 technician. But that person, I would say to them, you're coming in, you're employee number 1, but my intention is you're going to be the service desk manager. And then you and I are going to hire the other technicians together as we grow the business. The reason you're the service desk manager from day one, even though there's only 2 of us, is my more important job is I've got to go and get more new clients. So eventually you and I are so busy, we're tearing our hair out, and we can hire a dispatcher, or we can hire a level 1 technician, or we can hire this, or we can hire that. So I think, whatever situation you're in your business, you've got to look at it of how many people do I need to have and how many clients, so I can take, let's say, 6 or 8 weeks a year off. A week going to ScaleCon 25 in New Orleans. I'm led to believe. I'm still waiting to be booked for that, but I don't think they've booked it yet. But that's going to be September. Take a week off, go to that, right? It's amazing. A proper week off, no clients, no nothing, no contact. Just absorb yourself in your business for a week. Take 3 or 4 weeks off with your family. Take weeks just to go and plan and think. That time in September I was telling you about, when I started doing that, I used to take a week and do it. Myself and my partner at the time, we would take some time. We'd go and reconnect with each other, and we'd spend a week talking about what do we want in our future, what's our lives. So it's there's nothing wrong with being a one-man band, other than it's not a sustainable business model. And you only probably need 5 people in a business for that business to stand on its own 2 feet. You don't have to have, because most of us don't want tons of staff, right? In fact, I would argue the answer is go and get that. Well, Randy, this is your expertise, right? This is what you do. So you provide resources to people to allow them to grow their business with less risk. This is literally what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, to allow them to buy back their time so they can focus on their business growth and be free, and they don't grow a business that they grow to hate. And they can build SOPs so the business runs itself, and they can dedicate their time to work on the business and not in it all the time. And I agree with Dan Martell when he wrote this book, that your first hires, because if you're a technical person, you are good at that. That's your passion. So why you should stop doing that? What you should delegate is the things that you are not good at. Like, for example, the marketing and the sales. So if you're not good at marketing or sales, hire someone. Now that you can access to global talent, hire someone where you don't break your bank, that you can afford at the level of expertise that you're looking for, and that helps you with the marketing campaign, with the sales campaign, to set up your CRM, to set up your mail marketing campaigns, to add more linking connections on your behalf. because you're going to be focused on the bigger problems, on the bigger issues of your company as you start growing up. And if you hire, let's say you are a one-person shop and you are hiring another technician, that's probably going to be more expensive for you than hiring an executive assistant that you can delegate all these things to and buy back your time there. As you keep adding more clients and adding more clients, you can also hire other technical positions, which we offer to our customers too, because obviously now you have access to global talent. And you don't have to hire in your country. You don't have to hire inside the US or the UK or the European Union. You can hire anywhere in the world. So you can take advantage of that and how the world has changed and how you can do remote support from everywhere.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question then? Because that'll help me understand what you do. So if I was running an MSP and let's say I'm in that position where it's just me and one other person, say, but I want to free up more of my time. How do you guys de-risk what you can you explain what you do and how you de-risk that for the MSP? Because obviously that's the I work with lots of MSPs who look at services like yours, and there's always that risk of what if. So how do you help the MSPs de-risk that?
Yeah, first of all, we have an intake session with them to understand really what their needs are, in what step of their business they are in what stage they are, what goals they want to achieve for this year, 3-year picture, and their 10-year target, to really understand what's the solution that best fits their specific profile. And also because the stuff that we provide comes with work equipment, they can be assured that the hires won't be using their personal work equipment, which could trigger cybersecurity issues, and they will have a computer and a setup dedicated exclusively to them, which they can access remotely, and they can install all the security softwares to be able to access their systems. And also, they are going to have candidates with their war reference checkups, their criminal background checkups, which is something that if you're hiring through Upwork or if you're hiring through LinkedIn or by yourself, you wouldn't be able to do. So we provide that service for our customers. We do all the criminal background, all the war reference checkup, so they de-risk the person they are onboarding. They know who the person is, where they come from, and what the references are, without investing all this time by themselves doing it. And also, everyone, we are all humans. We are not robots, right? So we need this human interaction. We need HR management, and that's something we provide to make your remote hires feel comfortable, feel welcome, and improve their soft skills, integrate better within your company. And that's basically our fully managed services. Like you just take care of setting the goals, setting the KPIs, setting the objectives to the person you're hiring, and we take care of all the management, like the work equipment, the payment solutions, the HR management, and the recruitment for you. Basically, just delegate and elevate to buy back your time and focus on your own business growth.
Yeah. So actually, what you're really selling is extra resource, but sleeping at night. Because as you say, and I've hired people on Upwork over the years, and it's very hit and miss. Yeah. So it's okay. I really like that. I like that. And everything that we've talked about from a marketing point of view, someone else can and should do for you. And again, that's a critical thing. You were exactly right Dan Martell, let's be honest, this is the Dan Martell love call. We all love Dan Martell because his book is so on the nose. It's so perfect. If you love tech work, then do some tech work, but do interesting tech work. Don't do new users. Don't do password changes, and find other people to do all of those things. That 3-step marketing strategy, all of those tasks, the LinkedIn, the email, the content, someone else can do all of that for you. You just got to set up a system for that person, and then just have checks in the system. But I would be gutted if any MSP on this call went away and started building their own LinkedIn connections or writing their own content. There's just better people to do it. And I think we've heard there a safe way to get those people. That's great.
Yeah. And they can do the 80% of the work, and you focus on the 20%, like with the Pareto principle, right? You focus on really giving your own insight. Like if you want to show yourself on camera and record the video yourself, you can have them prepare the script You can have them do the research. You can have them set up the stage for you to just sit down, record, and leave. And also to set everything, even the SOPs. Like if you don't want to write your own processes, you can hire someone to do it for you at a fraction of the cost of your time. So if your time is too valuable for your company to invest hours and hours developing SOPs, why don't you hire someone to do it for you? And you just sit down with them in that 10%, you explain the layout of what you want, a table of contents, and you have them develop the processes for you. And they do that 80%, and then you just add the final touches with the final 10%, and that will be it. And that will be another way to buy back your time. Because if you are doing it everything yourself, you're costing your company more money.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing all that insight. I'm sure our audience is already taking notes. Paul, we wanted to know, what are some best practices for managing a remote marketing team while maintaining quality and productivity? What do you think?
Do you know, I'm going to delegate that decision. In the spirit of buy back your time, I'm going to delegate that answer over to Randy. So, because Randy, you, this is literally what you do. It's your bread and butter. So, what would you give as the answer to that question? Do you see how I swerved that?
Yeah. So my first advice to all of our customers is to have clear in mind or what they're looking for, to have clear objectives. Sometimes they want to hire someone and they want an unicorn, someone that does graphic design, someone that does SEO, marketing strategies, linking connection, and they just need to write down a piece of job description to really know what they're looking for. And we can tell them, yeah, this profile exists, or no, you're looking for a unicorn, or you should split it in two positions, like have someone focus on graphic design or on video edition, and have someone else do the strategic thinking, the marketing campaigns, the ad campaigns, set up your CRM for success. So that's first thing, like to clear out what they are really looking for, and if it's attainable, if it's reasonable or not, if it's their expectations are reasonable or not. Second thing, set real clearly KPIs. You need to set them what their KPIs will be, what their metrics will be, and how a successful work should look like, what their goals are. And you should do that for every position, to have measurables in place, to have goals in place, so they know where they're heading. They know what they should be hitting. And if you want to go deeper on remote management, SOPs are very important. But not just write them down, train them on them, evaluate them, evaluate your staff on them. Make sure they are really understood and followed by all, because you do nothing with just developing SOPs that just sit and collect dust and no one applies them in real life into your business. So to manage a remote team, you need to have that clarity on the job description, clarity on the KPIs and the goals they have to hit, and what are their measurables, to how they will be successful in their jobs, how they are going to be measured for that, and have SOPs in place so they know what they have to do and they are trained on that, and they know what they have, what they are expected to deliver. What about you? Do you have any remote teams that what are your strategies managing your own remote teams, if you have any?
Yeah, no, in fact, my entire business is remote. We mostly in the UK. I've got someone in France. Actually, I've got a guy out in Bali, which is an 8-hour time difference. So that's a challenge for us. But no, I think I agree with everything you said there. It's in fact, having a successful remote workers, it forces you to be organized. It forces you to have those SOPs. And it always makes me laugh that MSPs are really good at documentation for clients, but they're really bad at documentation for their own processes, and especially for marketing. So I agree with you. Everything you said there, I completely agree. And remote is absolutely the future. It's the you can access insanely great resources there's a million people around the world that could do something for you, and what's happened in the last 10 years of genuine remote work, and we're doing this on Zoom right now, and it's a perfectly stable platform. We don't even have to think about it. We're all used to it. COVID kind of did us a bit of a favor in accelerating that, accelerating the way we think about it. So no, I agree with everything you said there. Thank you.
Yeah. And how do you to add that human touch, that human connection? So we do it through our HR support, creating webinars or creating soft skills events, or creating Among Us games like after hours, so they can relate and connect on a more personal level. But how do you do to manage your team in different time zones? There is 12 hours difference or 3 or 4 hours difference. How do you do to meet with them and connect with them in a more personal level?
Yeah, it's a great question. We do two things. Number one, we use a piece of software called Basecamp, which is from a company called 37 Signals. And Basecamp, 37 Signals is exactly the business we were talking about. It's a remote business. They have people all over the world. They have people working in so many time zones that there's someone at work 24 hours a day in different time zones. So they built the products that they wanted to run their business, and now they sell it to other people, which is what Basecamp is. And it's a great, stable bit of software. So we use that, and it allows us to has a much more personal element. You can drop in GIFs and little videos, and just you communicate as a team. It's much better. I know MSPs love Teams. I hate Teams. I think Teams is the most evil piece of software ever developed, and it's not stable, and it's not clear, and it's too difficult. Basecamp is almost the complete opposite of that. But you don't do video calls through Basecamp. So we use Basecamp extensively, and then secondly, we haven't done this for a while because my team's very stable. We touch wood, we don't tend to have many changes. But a couple of years ago, when we were just coming together as a team, we would do really simple. We'd all have pizza at the same time. So the guy that's out in Bali might be having pizza at 10 o'clock at night, and we might be having pizza at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But then the lady that's in France, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but everyone gets a pizza in. There's Domino's in almost every country. So you get a Domino's, and you as the boss, you arrange the Domino's. So everyone gets a Domino's delivered at the same time, and you jump on a Zoom, and you don't talk about work. It's almost like it's like a social. In fact, we did it in lockdown. We did it with drinks. So I sent everyone that drinks alcohol, I sent them a bottle of wine or beer, and we did this thing. We called it a virtual bar, and we all just sat on a Zoom for an hour. And I learned, for example, there's a guy I've worked with for 12 years across 2 different businesses, and he breeds gerbils or hamsters. And at that time, he had 60 hamsters in his house. I don't think breeding hamsters is difficult. You just put a daddy hamster and a mummy hamster in a cage, and baby hamsters come quite soon. But you get the idea. It's like, how would I ever have known that he breeds hamsters? My developer, who does all of our development stuff in our portal, had a hit record in the 1990s. It was like a dance record, and he was a part of a band. And it's like, we would never have found stuff like that. So that's my super pro tip: is everyone together, pizza or a drink or something, but don't just do it for work. Make it fun. Have some fun together as well.
Awesome. Great insights. I know our marketing department, which Andrea is part of, they use also kind of a virtual office where you can see where each team member is, if they are away of their computer, if they are in a meeting room, if they are, I don't know if you tell us a little bit about your experience there, Andrea.
Yeah, we use something called Gather Town, and basically that allows us to create sort of like an avatar, like a little character. Yeah. And everyone in the team has their own. And we can also create like a little office. And we have like the kitchen space, the meeting room, each one of our offices. And we can like walk to the person that we want to talk with and say something, and then we can return to our office. It's really fun, and it helps us keep connected. Yeah, it's really fun. So we have another questions for you both. We'd like to know, what do you guys think about when building a team to handle marketing tasks? What roles do you think should MSPs prioritize first?
Dive in on that one, Paul.
Okay, thank you. I think you should. I'm going to give a brief answer to this because I'm conscious of the time. I think you should give prioritize lead generation first, and look at gathering resources to help you generate leads. So leads, if you remember, the people you're connected to on LinkedIn, the people in your email database. Secondly, to prioritize someone to phone them. So that's turning leads into prospects. So getting an outsourced person to make those outbound phone calls. And remember, that's not sales. It's still not sales. It's just relationship building. That's when you call people and talk about their favorite subject themselves. And I think the last thing that you should outsource, and this is just looking at it from a marketing and sales point of view, not the technical, but the last thing you should outsource as the owner is the actual sales. Because most MSPs are doing 1 or 2 sales meetings a month. And actually, if you outsource or you bring someone in as a salesperson to do that, it's not a full-time job. It's a very small part-time job for someone whose only job is doing the sales. So actual sales calls is the very last job the MSP owner should delegate out. The biggest mistake I see with people replacing themselves is they try to hire one person to do all of those things. So they'll hire someone and say, great, can you now generate leads, warm up those leads, qualify them, please, get them into discovery video calls, and then go out and do sales meetings. That's like 10 different skill sets. That's like hiring an engineer and their job is to set up new users, change passwords, configure servers, go out to site and do cabling ducts. You know what I mean? And add in a whole load of other technical jobs here. So it is crazy. And the answer is often putting together a team of lots of people doing small amounts of work and probably working for you part-time. But yeah, I would definitely prioritize it, almost prioritize it in the order that you have to do it. Lead generation, making outbound phone calls, and then sales last.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. For me, it depends on your MSP size. So if you are a small MSP, my advice will be go with an executive assistant. Go with that person to handle your inbox, to handle your calendar, to handle your LinkedIn invitations, to handle your CRM, and to do some little light marketing. Now, if you're a bigger MSP, you can go with a marketing specialist, someone that's more about strategy, about ad campaigns, and that knows more about how to set up all your touch point strategies across your digital channels. So awesome, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing all these valuable insights.
Well, I want to extend a huge thank you for both Paul and Randy for sharing their expertise with us. Your insights have been truly enlightening for all of us. To all our attendees, thank you for joining us today. We hope this webinar has provided you with valuable strategies to improve your MSP's marketing and also streamline your operations. You'll receive the full recording of our session in case you want to rewatch it with your notes. And you can find more information about Paul and his resources at mspmarketingedge.com and about Freelance Latin America at freelancelatam.com. You can also
go
connect.
buy that book. Yeah, go buy
Of
Paul's
course.
book. Great templates, actionable content.
We'll send the link with the recording. We will send the link.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, you can
Thank you.
also connect with Randy and Paul through LinkedIn. You can find them as Paul Green and Randy Rosales. And
Thank you.
this concludes our webinar. Thank you again, Paul and Randy, and thank you all for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll make sure to get that copy. Thank you, Paul.